Hi, Courtney. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to talk with you this morning. And why don't you are going to be one of our panel speakers for the upcoming Empower and Elevate conference on March 20th. And I am so excited to be able to bring all these women, wonderful women together who are working on their businesses and just stepping out of their comfort zones, because that's really what this thing is we're all stepping out of our comfort zones. And I just want to applaud you and all the other women out there who are stepping out of their comfort zones and building businesses for themselves and for their families. So go ahead and introduce yourself if you would, please.
Hi, Catherine. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you too. And I first want to say, before I introduce myself, I'm super excited as well. And I just love what you're doing with Empower and Elevate and building women up together. We all have to stick together. So,
Yes.
okay, I'm Courtney Osselaer with Courtney Coaches Wellness, and I am an emotional mastery and self-trust coach for women, mostly moms who are rocking it in their career, like they've seen success in their career, and they come home and they feel like, I want to rock it at home too. Maybe they feel like they're floundering a little bit. Maybe they feel like people tell me that I feel like I'm failing at home. My kids, my husband, like, what am I doing wrong here? And
Mhm.
so we work through the emotional crap, right? We work through
Yes.
all the junk that's underneath the surface of everything and clear all of that with working with the nervous system and all sorts of different modalities. But yeah, that's a short little snippet of what I do.
I love it. I love it. And it's so interesting because a lot of times we think that we can have one or the other. We can have a career or we can have the family life and have it all together in one area only. And that's not true. We can totally, especially if we give ourselves grace, have it in both areas. And I love that you're helping women to recognize that, and that excuse me, that we can, our ideal picture that we have in our mind of how I remember, growing up, critiquing my mother and thinking, oh, when I have my family, I'm not going to do that. Or, when I grow up and I have a whatever.
Totally. Yes. So
Yes.
many of us grow up wanting to be the parent that we didn't have, right? So
Yes.
many of
Yes.
us want that. And that's the core of what I do because my passion, I was a pediatric nurse for 15 years, and my passion is kids. And it's like, I have this deep seated, like, need to want to make sure kids are seen and heard and valued and cared for and all of the things that we all want,
Yes.
right? But it's the children, it's our next generation that's really going to raise that up for the planet, for the universe, for everybody involved. And so who better to work with than moms, because they have the highest influence.
Absolutely, yes. And I think as women in general, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves
Mm.
of what, and it's funny, and I've had this conversation before of like the expectations that I have for myself. If I were having a friend that was like, oh my gosh, I'm not holding it all together, or I can't do it all, or whatever, I would be like, you are doing great. But for myself, I'm like, oh, you didn't dust this week. You haven't, you know what I mean? You haven't done this, you haven't done that, you missed a follow up, whatever. Um, and we need to give ourselves grace, and we need to realize that nobody expects us to be perfect except ourselves. And that's something that I've had to learn a lot throughout my life is, there is no perfect anything. There's no perfect way to raise your children. There's no perfect way to manage your career and your family. It's what works for you and your family.
Exactly, exactly. Because we get so used to listening to the outside world, whoever that is. It's often well-intentioned, close people to us, right? Who are giving
Yes.
us advice or telling us how to do it or whatever. And maybe it's other people who are passing judgments on you too. But we get so used to hearing all these different ideas of how we're supposed to do it, we forget to look inward, that we really know how to do it ourselves and what's best for
Right.
not only us, but our families and our loved
Yes.
ones, right? And our kids so badly need us to be tapped into that rather than listening to all the noise in the outside world.
Yes. And talking about kids and all the noise in the outside world, I can't even imagine growing up in today's environment where you've got social media and just all of these distractions. I'm fairly good as an adult regulating the distractions for myself, but when I was growing up, it was different. Really, the only outside influences we had was the television or radio.
Yeah.
And even then the television was really in our household anyway, it was limited. The time that we watched, most of the time it was whatever my parents wanted to watch.
Yeah.
So
And it was only on during this time.
yes,
You can't stream
yes,
whatever you want whenever you want. It's
right.
like you got to catch it now or you're going to miss it, right?
That's
Yes.
right. Those
Yeah.
once a year Christmas shows, you like mapped it out in the TV guide of when they were going to be on.
Circling all the things you want. Oh my
That's
gosh. Yes.
right. Oh my
I
gosh.
love
Well,
that.
I love that you talked about being a pediatric nurse and really having a heart for children, because honestly, I don't remember who it was that said it, but they said that no success can compensate for failure in the home.
Mm.
And I feel like that is so true, because I mean, that's where we spend the majority of our time and our attention. And for me, when we were raising our kids, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, because in my head, if I was working outside the home, I wasn't going to be able to be there for my kids. And I wanted to be there when they got home and things like that, because my mom wasn't able to do that. And so that was really important to me. And it's funny because Tab, my husband, says that I never mentioned that to him until after I got pregnant. And I'm like, no, we definitely had that conversation.
You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This was an agreement, okay?
Yes, exactly, exactly. But
Yeah.
and I didn't even acknowledge or think about how much pressure that was putting on him to provide for our
Yeah,
family,
absolutely.
but
Yeah.
that is what I had in my mind, and that's how we were going to do it. And he was on board, of course. But it's so important to be able to find that balance and just be able to still find fulfillment in a career, but also be able to feel fulfilled at home, because that's a big piece of it.
It is. And I love that quote that you just mentioned. No success can compensate for failure in the home. Like, there are some women out there who who want to be stay-at-home moms and that's their whole purpose, right? And
Yes.
that is okay. And then there are a lot of women like myself and yourself who feel so much purpose outside of the home as well. And what is the point of that purpose if we're not able to fulfill the purpose at home too?
Yes.
And
Yes.
both are incredibly important. And I think, this is the work that I do with my clients is like, you don't have to lose yourself just because you're a mom. You don't have to let go of the things that light you on fire. You don't have to put yourself aside just to raise your kids, and you can do both and you can invite them into your life. And there's so many different ways to do it. And like you said, everybody finds their own way. Like you just got to find your own
Yes.
way. And there's going to be different variations of that, right? Like some
Right.
to work part-time, some like to work a lot. It just depends on where you're at. And obviously your husband, your partner, your spouse, like what's that situation and all the things. So yes, I completely agree with you. It's all important, and let's just like
It is.
let's give each other grace. I think we are
Yes.
better at that. We are better at that than giving our own selves grace. And where does that even come from? Like, why are we so hard on ourselves,
I know. I have no idea. I think it's just
Mhm.
like this. I remember back in the day when they would have cartoons where you had the angel on one side of your shoulder and the devil on the other side of your shoulder, and they're trying to get you to do one or the other. And I think that sometimes we talk to ourselves in a way that we would never speak to another person like that.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
we can get so down on ourselves, and then it can get into this spiral if you don't catch yourself. And that's something else. And like when I was a stay-at-home mom with our kids, I definitely lost that spark of, I was like, I don't even know what my hobbies are anymore, because I was so focused on the kids and the family, which is what I felt like my purpose was for. But I do remember, having those moments where I'm just like, is my purpose like doing dishes and changing diapers? And yes, it was at that time. But I needed to not forget about like enriching my own, myself, and continuing or finding new hobbies that I could do alongside my kids if they were still at home, or if they while they were in school,
Yeah.
and just cultivating that part of myself.
Yeah, really taking care of yourself, like self-care to the max. And I'm not talking bubble baths and manicures. I'm talking like
Yes.
soul filling stuff, right? Like whatever it
Right.
is that fuels you, whatever it is that you find that just lights you on fire. And that can be so
Yes.
many different things in so many different ways. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to
Well,
speak to that again, like, because not to draw this out even more, but where does that come from? Why are we so hard on ourselves? And you mentioned like the angel and the devil, and like society brings it on, right?
oh,
We
for
as
sure.
girls are we're meant to quote unquote
Yes.
take care of others and make sure we put their needs first, and we're kind of
Yep.
trained into that. So it's no fault of our own, but it's important to do that inner work to be able to recognize that inner dialogue so that you can make changes with it. Absolutely.
Yes. And when you were talking about that, because I was thinking, where did that come from? I remember, like, as a teenager, realizing that my mom she didn't really take care of herself. She didn't, I mean, as far as like everybody else got new clothes before she got new clothes, and we were financially struggling. So I understand that. But just how self I don't even know the word that I'm trying to think of, but you know what I mean? Everybody else changes.
Sacrificing,
Yes,
self-sacrificing.
that is
Yes,
it. Thank you.
absolutely. Mhm.
And I remember thinking about that, and obviously I appreciated that, but I thought, I don't think that that's the way it's supposed to be. I think that you're supposed to feel, fulfilled and happy and proud of yourself and the things that you're accomplishing, and not constantly like beating yourself up with a stick. So,
That.
so it's just interesting to me, especially at this stage of my life, because we're on to the grandchildren phase. And I grandparent completely different than I did as a parent, as a parent. Like,
Yeah.
if my grandkids are here and the kitchen is dirty, that kitchen is staying dirty because my focus
Yes.
is on playing with the
Yes.
grandkids.
And that's so natural. That's how it's quote
Yes.
unquote supposed to be, right? When you're raising,
Yes.
I have this conversation with my mother-in-law all the time, because when you're raising your kids, you have all those things to worry about, and you don't get to just send them back to their parents and say, okay, now I
No.
clean the kitchen. You have to do all
Yes.
of that, all, in the mix of everything. So it makes sense.
Right.
And what a gift to be a grandparent and have
Oh
that,
my gosh. Yes.
like so cool. So cool.
It is. I love being a grandparent. And you're right. It's the best of both worlds. You get to enjoy the little kids, and they're so cute and they think you're amazing, and because they're only with you part of the time
Yeah,
versus
and
their
you have,
parents where they're like,
yes, and they're giving you're giving them your undivided attention, and that's all
right.
they want. That's all they crave, is just some
Yes.
love and attention, right? So when you're giving it to them unconditionally without anything distracting you, of course you're going to be their favorite person.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And but I see my kids, or my daughters-in-law especially. I don't, my sons don't do it really, but my daughters-in-law do, where they're like, "Oh, I just feel like I'm not, doing this right. I'm not doing that right." Or if I come over to their house, "Oh, sorry, the house is a mess." And I'm like, one of our daughters, our son and daughter-in-law had twins. So they had a 2-year-old, then they had twin girls. And I'm like, I am surprised you're still standing up, honestly.
Totally. Yes,
I
I'm
just,
just happy you're all still alive, right? Like,
exactly.
yeah.
And that is the bottom line. You're all still alive and you're doing great. But I just remember thinking, and I remember being that way as a young mom, being like, oh, I need to have the house perfect and everything's supposed to be in order and it has to look good. You know what I mean? And just all these things. And it's so ridiculous, the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves, because like I said, we wouldn't make I mean, if I were to walk into somebody's house and it was dirty, it's not like I'm going to say, and it's not like dirty, dirty. It's like, you have kids. That's the kind
Yes.
of dirty
You
it
have
is. You know what I
toys
mean?
on the
There's just,
floor. Yes.
yes, exactly. So, anyway, so I want you to talk about how people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to my website, CourtneyCoachesWellness.com, and I have all my contact, I have my socials and email and all the things down at the bottom of that. That's probably the easiest way.
Okay.
I'm really active on Instagram. If you want to follow me there, my handle is kind of an old handle that I haven't switched over yet, but it's the EO Seahorse. So the underscore EO underscore Seahorse. That's a whole nother story that we can get to another day. But I would love to connect if anything that we've talked about resonates, or you just want to say hi or whatever it is. Like let's connect and meet up and get to know each other.
Awesome. This has been so much fun. I've really enjoyed it. And if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, there are still a few tickets left for the Empower and Elevate conference on March 20th. You can get your tickets at empowerandelevateconference.com. And if you use the promo code EMPOWER, you can get $10 off the ticket price. And we are at a new venue. In case you're watching this, it's not going to be at the same venue that we've used in the past. So we're super excited about that. And we cannot wait to be together and to see you on the 20th. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I'm so excited. If you've never been to Empower and Elevate, come get your tickets, like go. It's so much fun. You meet lots of people and it's just a fun vibe. It is a fun vibe.
It is. It
Yeah.
is a really fun vibe. I honestly thought after November, when I was running it myself, that I was going to be exhausted, and I wasn't. I was like, I cannot wait till March. Let's start planning.
I love that so much.
It's
Good
just,
for you.
yes, it was just so much fun. And I just get so much energy, and I get my cup filled by being in a room full of women that are just ready to share and help each other. And that's what the whole vibe is. So I love
Exactly.
that. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me. So nice to chat.
You bet.